Hello everyone. Today is Monday, March 8th, 2015. This is the long version of the Utah Water Supply Briefing. My name is Brian McInerney. I'm the hydrologist here at the National Weather Service. So let's take a look at what we got. First, let's take a look at weather patterns and the precip anomaly that's got us here. And when we see this illustration of the total precip anomaly for February 2015, what we see is February was somewhat rough with precipitation, and this followed on December, January, February of a low volume precip for the most part. When you look at March, we started out March quite well, and this is looking at the winds at about 11,500 feet, and what we see is the west coast of the U.S. But this feature right here brought us all sorts of snow down to southern Utah, about 5 inches, and about an inch up in northern Utah. But the ridge that's been dogging us is over here, and it's insignificant. This weather pattern came out of the Pacific, went up into southern Utah. This part right here dropped into northern Utah and did quite well, starting off March very well for us. When you look at the precip anomaly for the first 7 days, you can see that we've got amounts that are percentage-wise quite big, but I wouldn't go on that because we're only 7 days into it, and we got a lot of precip during that time. The key is you can see where that storm came in that purple area. That was very beneficial to us. When we look at the temperature anomalies, this is really what's going on and really been the biggest impact. When you look at the first 13 days of December, what we saw was 14 degrees above average, and that's a record down in the Salt Lake City Airport at this time. And this data is all for the Salt Lake City Airport. All the bars going up are above normal temperatures. All the bars going down are cooler than normal temperatures, and it goes really from October 1st all the way through about March 3rd. But you can see during that time it's been very warm. Record for the first 13 days of December. Then when you look at the period starting early January, we had 48 consecutive days above average temperature. And you can see some of those days got up to about 28 degrees above. And when you're trying to build a snowpack, it's quite difficult when you're dealing with temperatures like this. But when you look at February, it was the hottest February on record going back to 1874. And that's not, it wasn't as hot in 1874. It's as we started taking records. It could have been, we could have broken this record back, who knows, but that's when we first started taking records. It was 9.7 degrees above average. So the heat's been the problem, the solar radiation, the lack of storms. This has really been a problem for us since we really started in early December. When we look at the daily mean temperature anomaly for February, this is what we see. Western U.S., very warm. Eastern U.S., very cold. This has been the pattern really for quite some time as the jet stream has been up over the ridge and then down into the eastern part, and we've talked about that before. When we look at the snowpack, and this is March 5th, what we see are numbers that are quite good in the upper green, but if you slide over west, the Great Basin's doing quite poorly. Relatively rough numbers, but when you look down in this area here, down by Virgin, Sevier, lower Lake Powell, you see those numbers in the 80s. They were in the 40s before this storm system hit. We've got 4 to 5, even some 6-inch water amounts from that storm. So very beneficial, but we have the ridge right now, and we're drying it out once again. When we look at the water supply numbers, we'll start with the Bear River drainage, and we'll look at a couple of points. The first one is in the upper headwaters at Woodruff Narrows Reservoir. And what we see there is about 86% of average. When we move up to Stewart Dam, we see it's about 46% of average, and so a little tough starting off. And this really follows suit all the way down as we go through the Great Basin area. When we look at the Weber, we start at Oakley as the headwater, 67% of average or 79,000 acre feet. When we move over to East Canyon Creek, we're looking at 55% of average. And these averages we're talking about are the snow melt coming out of the mountains from April 1st through the end of July, the volume of water we're anticipating, which is really the meat of our water supply. And you can see things are pretty rough. When we go over to Pine View, we're seeing 38% inflow into the reservoir, or only 43,000 acre feet. When we move over to the Six Creeks area, we'll look at 2 areas there. Little Cottonwood to start with over in this area. What we see is 66% of average or 25,000 acre feet. And then at City Creek, 47% of average or 3.6 thousand acre feet. Moving down into Utah Lake, this is what we see here. We'll look at a couple of points. The headwater up near Woodland into Jordanelle Reservoir at 71% of average, or 71,000 acre feet. And then the Spanish Fork River at 38% of average, or 26,000 acre feet. Now we'll move over to the Duchesne in this area here. We have 3 points to look at. The first, we will start at the Soldier Springs near Strawberry Reservoir at 38% of average inflow at 27,000 acre feet, and that forecast is declining since January, really, as almost all of these have. Duchesne near Tabion at 67% of average, or 72,000 acre feet, and then Knight's Diversion at 71% of average at 138,000 acre feet, with a declining trend in the forecast. To the Upper Green, and what we look at first into Flaming Gorge Reservoir is 84% of average, or 825,000 acre feet. Not too bad when you look at the rest of everything else. And then downstream at the Green, 2.1 million acre feet, or 72% of average. And that forecast is declined, but a little bit of an increase from month to month in the latest. When we go down into Lake Powell, we'll look at 2 points. What's coming out of Colorado near Cisco at 82% of average, or 3.6 million acre feet, with a forecast that's kind of rebounded a little bit in the last forecast at March. And then down in the Lake Powell itself at 71% of average, or 5.1 million acre feet. Now we'll move over to the Sevier, and we'll look at the headwater area of Hatch at 36% of average, or 17.1 thousand acre feet, and then into the Paiute Reservoir at 51% of average, or 33,000 acre feet. Then we'll go into the Virgin and Southwest Utah. At 2 points there, we'll look at the headwater area of the Virgin near Virgin at 48% of average, 28,000 acre feet. And then the outflow at Littlefield at 29% of average, or 19.1 thousand acre feet. But when you look at it in total, kind of in a graphical format, you see that west basins are doing quite poor. The Great Basin, the Sevier, the Virgin, all doing really rough. When you start sliding a little bit east, and that's due to the weather coming up over the top of that ridge and then sliding down in the Upper Green and then the Upper Colorado areas. Upper Colorado is doing much better. As the jet then would swing a little bit farther east, the San Juan was shut out. So this is kind of an idea of what we're looking at as far as water supply. There's my contact information. Give me a call, drop me an email, let me know if I can do anything else for you guys. But until then, I hope we get more snow. But right now, as of today, it looks like more of a ridging with a little bit of weather in between there, but we're starting to run out of time. I do appreciate taking the time. Until the next one, we'll go from there. Thank you.